For 36 years, we have been in business, a nonprofit, and that is truly what it is, a nonprofit. We have given books away given them away and paid to send people around the world to 157 countries. For 36 years, the way we have done business goes like this. We have 2 bank accounts. Oh, no. One is for day-to-day business, light bill, water bill, etc. The other one is the money we set aside to print books. And we have been very dutiful and very successful at this for 36 years. The economy has taken a serious downturn. A serious downturn. Our support base has aged. Unfortunately, we're all aging. When people hit Social Security, the typical note is, "Oh, Brother Wheeling, I can't do as much as I have done. God bless you." In the last 60 to 90 days, we have printed more books because we are out of books. People are taking them and giving them away. Praise the Lord. But every time we sign a contract to print books, along comes a bill for $20,000, $30,000, $35,000, whatever, and we don't have it. And yours truly goes to jail. So we're at the point where we are dependent upon people like you keeping us in business. We have people who go out and do evangelistic work. John, where are you? Wave and see a real missionary right there, John Vega. If he calls and he says, "I need books," we send books. Yes? Yes. We send books because that's who we are. That's what we do. That's what we've been doing for 36 years. Now, I am convinced at the personal level that all of this is about to change. Now, Bo Polney and a lot of business people think we're going to kick the can down the road again. Don't worry, we're going to get through this. I happen to believe that that is what is going to happen right here, but for a limited time, for a limited space. I think that the doomsayers and the naysayers who said the sky is falling, yours truly, the sky is falling, are going to become laughing stock for a while. That is the time you and I need to be making hay while the sun shines. If you have no backup plan, in case things get tough and rough, which direction are we going to go? Well, let me simplify matters for you. Never get on an interstate highway when there's a crisis. We've learned that all over hurricane country, all over, because they get on the highway, somebody runs out of gas, and there the rest of them sit till the hurricane, whatever. It will happen here. If there's a crisis, if something happens in California, don't get on the interstate. You have a plan, you have a route, you have a map, and you've marked it, you've highlighted it in yellow, and this is the way we're going to get out of Dodge. Please listen. It could save your life. It could save your family. Lots more to be said about that. There are things that every one of us can and should do if there is even a hint of truth in this. Because 12 months, at least at my age, 12 months goes like water. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but the older you get, the faster you slide downhill. I have 8 or 10 slides left in this discussion. I want to take you there. Let his heart be changed from a man let a beast's heart be given to him. Let 7 times pass over him. To the intent that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomsoever he will, and sets up over it the basest of men. Now the tree you saw, which grew and was strong, whose height reached to heaven, the sight thereof to all the... If you will go home and study Daniel chapter 4, you will find that this story is repeated 3 times in chapter 4. 3 times this scenario. So what? If the story is told twice according to the Bible, it means that it's certain. What does it mean if it's told 3 times? And by the way, in the 4 Gospels, the signs of Jesus coming are told 3 times. Looking at you. In the days of Hezekiah and Isaiah, the record is repeated 3 times. Jesus said, where 2 or 3 agree in a matter. Here's Daniel to the king. It's you, O king, that are grown, become strong, for your greatness is grown, reaches to heaven, your dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a band of iron and brass around the stump, let his portion be with the rest of the donkeys in the field, till 7 times pass over him. In Genesis, you have the story of Joseph and Pharaoh in Egypt and so forth. There were 7 good years and there were 7 miserable years. These are 7 miserable years. This is the interpretation, O king, decree of the Most High, that they shall drive thee from men. You're going to become an unpopular person. Your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. You're going to be equal with all the other low-down characters out there. They will make you eat grass like oxen, but the dew of heaven is going to be there, and 7 times will pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules and not you. And God will give power or authority to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree, the roots, your kingdom will be sure unto you. Now, if you want to do some serious Bible study, you get into Daniel's first vision, which is chapter 7 of Daniel. Listen, don't miss this. That's the first vision. The first vision is then they narrow the focus with each succeeding vision. Daniel 7, the overview. About verse 11, verse 12 of chapter 7, Daniel says, I beheld until the beast was thrown to the fiery burning flame. The beast is thrown into the oven of Armageddon. I watched until the beast was thrown to the burning flame. As concerning, watch the other beasts, that's the lion, the bear, and the leopard. Their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged. The beast is going to be, and yes, it will be nuclear. But the lion, the bear, and the leopard, will still be there for a little while. The margin says a prolonging in life was given to them. It's not like 10 more years. That's not the idea. That is the idea here. You are going to be miserable for 7 years. You're going to be scowled upon and looked down upon by your equals. You're going to be made equal to them. But you're preserved for a while. Your kingdom or your authority is going to be sure to you. I love this. It's a script that I would not have written simply because you can't get there. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom. He said, I did it. I told him I was going to do it, and I did it. And while the word was in his mouth, a voice from heaven said, you're going down, big boy, you're going down. They will drive you from men. Your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They will make you eat grass with the rest of the oxen. 7 times will pass over you until you know the Most High rules. You know. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar. So I've said before, I want to say again, this is only my idea. It may or may not be correct. But if this is correct, and this is correct, and this is correct, then I believe that the 12 months belongs at the beginning of 8 years. And 7 times will then pass over. The madness. And I shall not be surprised if this has anything to do with Donald Trump. I will not be surprised with the collapse, total collapse of the U.S. economy and the U.S. dollar. I will not be surprised if he loses his billions. It would be fertile ground for going nuts. He was driven from men, ate grass like oxen, his body wet with dew, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. At the end of the days, this is Nebuchadnezzar writing, at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. I blessed the Most High and praised and honored him that lives forever and ever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion. That's at the end of all of this. That's the second coming of Jesus in the clouds of heaven as King of kings and Lord of lords. That's what he's talking about. An everlasting dominion. His kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. He doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. And nobody can stop him if it is his will. At the same time, my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, mine honor and brightness returned to me. And my counselors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established. My kingdom excellent, and majesty was added unto me. That's Nebuchadnezzar, and so you have to read through. I am a patriotic American. I'm not just an American, I'm a patriotic American. I don't have a drum and bugle and all of that kind of thing, but I want to tell you I was born 1 month after Pearl Harbor was bombed. I was an infant during the war years. And it made a lasting impression on me in that youthfulness, because my mother had brothers who were sent overseas to fight. And there was lots of discussion in my family. One of her brothers, we called him Uncle Donnie. His name was John. He's deceased now. Uncle Donnie was with the U.S. Marines who went to Guadalcanal. That was the first American intervention in the Pacific. Uncle Donnie, he and a buddy were in a little pup tent or whatever you want to call it on Guadalcanal. They were some of the first on shore. And the Japanese would come over flying real low, sometimes day, sometimes night. The Japanese would come over and then drop bombs, just boom. They were in their tent. It was a stand-up tent, but they were in their tent. And they were sitting, as Donnie referred to it, in our skivvies, and they were reading the Bible. And before they could even get up to run, the Japanese dropped a bomb and blew that tent and everything in it, and their skivvies off of them. There was nothing left but 2 naked Marines and the Bible.
That's amazing.
No, it's beyond amazing. Now, do you have any reason to doubt why my Uncle Donnie came home and for the rest of his life was a lay preacher? No. He knows. See? Now, he had a younger brother by 2 or 3 years, and he was also a Marine. And he wound up in 1945 invading Iwo Jima. He was a ripe old 21 years of age by this time, and he was a tank commander on Iwo Jima. They had crossed the first airfield, Japanese airfield. They were going across the second Japanese airfield, and his tank was hit. He and his men tried to drop out of that bottom trap door and get out. As soon as Alfred stood up to run, Japanese machine gun blew the back of his head off. You can find his name on the Wahoo. Now, I remember something about this because my mother was the eldest of the children in the family, 7 children. She was the eldest. Donnie was next. Alfred was 3rd or 4th down the way. And on a Sunday morning, my mother said to my father, "Alfred is dead." This was a terrible blow to my mother. And my father wanted to, "Oh no, honey, you don't know that. We don't know that." In a few days, it came. Killed in action. I want you to understand that I take no delight at all in this. None whatsoever. We are not perfect. This nation is not perfect. But we're so far ahead of the rest of the beasts in the field. And I'm not talking about just money-wise. You have to understand that Germany had about 60 million people, population, Second World War. Hitler, you can trace the death and misery of 65 to 67 million persons to Adolf Hitler, because he started this misery. If the playing field were level, then we would have encouraged the Russians when they invaded Germany from the east. And if it were left to the Russians, they would have killed every last 60 million Germans left just to get even. Do you know who stood in the way? Do you know history? Do you know who stood in the way? The Russians said, "We're going to starve them to death. If you won't let us blow them up, we'll starve them to death." So they surrounded East Berlin and they said, "No more food comes in. No more medicine comes in. No more, no more, no more." And this nation, in spite of everything we had suffered, flew plane loads of food and medicine to keep those people alive. Don't talk to me about how bad Americans are and how bad America is. We're not perfect. But we're a long way from donkeys in the field. Now, God is looking down on this country. He has prospered this nation. And it's not that He's getting even. It's that He's leaving us to our ways. And we have decided we don't want God in our schools. We have decided we don't want God in our businesses. We have decided that we want. And so God is going to allow us to get what we want. I don't even relish the thought. But all of this business, down with the dogs and down with the donkeys and down with the beasts of the field, that's where we're going. And I'm not accustomed to it, and you're not either. I have never known that kind of America. It's on the way. And God will permit it in order to turn hearts, change minds. Nothing would please me more than to be mistaken. I want that understood. I don't want anyone to leave here and think that, oh boy, he thinks it's a great idea to humble America. No, I don't. But if God doesn't intervene, we're goners. We're goners. Well, what do I have? 1, 2 more slides? Now, I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride, he's able to abase. The great tree possibly represents King Nebuchadnezzar. The great tree and the great king possibly represent Earth's most powerful nation when 7 last years come. The United States of America. The president at that time will be a proud and boastful person. The 7 prophetic years will begin 1 year, 12 months after the president is elevated and boasting. One more thing. His pride will turn all the other beasts against him. Oh, they're already screaming. Because they know he's going to do it. We're going to build a wall. They're going to pay for it. Oh, no, we're not. You just wait and see. And 7 impoverished years will follow for America, setting the stage for a one world order. This is the new. This will be the follow-on, the one world order. This is the one that will impose a mark, a number, or a name. Not this one. This one. We'll get there. I think you'll be surprised when we do. The president will become insane with the rest of us.